have to stand up for myself and say something. Does it mean I'm rebellious? Maybe. My name is Dilara Findikoglu, and I'm from Turkey, Istanbul. The way I was brought up really affected my work, my personality in loads of ways, like coming from traditional background as well as, Islamic. And I had like really older parents. I looked like a weird teenager when I was in Turkey, in high school. So they thought I was gonna be a fuck up. Like, this girl wants to go to London to study fashion. They're like, what the fuck? I had to fight for loads of things to be able to study at St. Martin's, to come to London. You can still see it in my work. In every collection I do, I always try to fight for something. Male and female equality is one of them. Research is the most important part of what you create, because without any knowledge and idea behind it, it's just another boring dress.
I'm Matty Bovan and I'm the fashion designer. I always say I'm designing for the female version of myself, but to be honest, it's probably just myself. I definitely wanted to be a designer when I was about 14. I remember complaining to my mum about how boys' clothes was so boring, and I didn't understand why there was no choice, even in the fabric. My mum and my grandma, still to this day, make a real effort with what they wear and how they present themselves, and it was kind of like glamour, but not in a vacuous, or it was instinctive what you like wearing. That's when fashion in a way is its most genuine. I'm privileged because I can live back with my parents. Being creative physically, it's really messy, and I need a lot of stuff. Knitting machines, my sewing machines, my screen printing equipment, and trying to move all that down to London and have a space where you could do that. It never really happened. And then so I obviously ended up making collections up here, and it's kind of stuck for the minute. I don't know how long it'll last. I love it. I love the tranquility of being outside of London. I love the heat of being in London. I think it's great. But I also like being able to kind of step down a bit. Obviously it's more a necessity, but it is a good choice, I think. Actually, I think it's helped me be more creative.
I'm James Theseus Buck from...
No, I don't think it's like from Rottingdean, so I'll just say your name.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm James Theseus Buck.
And I'm Luke Brooks.
I'm originally from Rottingdean, and so we've ended up here. I think more and more young people are actually considering moving out of London. It feels very real being here.
I think it's good working in Rottingdean, where it's quiet, it's easy to think. I guess like any village or town is, so that kind of restricts what we have to work with.
I love going to antique markets because I find loads of parts of me that belongs to other eras and stuff, my past lives. That's why I love Spitalfields. So there's some dealers that I love and I have been buying stuff from since I was a student. My last show was at Sir John Soane's museum. I'm really into cabinet of curiosities. I'm really into collecting things. Sir John Soane was a person like that as well. My new collection was about my new world order. I just wanted to create my own future where there were aliens, there was gender equalities. Because I hate real life, I wish we had more interesting stuff, more magical stuff in it.
Well, one of the best pieces of advice is when Louise Wilson said to me, take pictures of everything you wear on yourself every day. What she was saying was, go with that instinct, document that. That's much more interesting than all the stuff you've been looking at in the library, is what she said to me. So I started doing it when I was on the MA. It's like a weird diary, but this is kind of the collection. And also, I think more about how people wear clothes more. With fashion, it's really about ultimately taking things that have already been and reappropriating them to like 2017 or whatever year you're making it in. It's almost just not about clothes, I think, at the start. It was almost about textiles and feeling stuff. I always design from fabric. You work with what you've got in a way. Sometimes it can just be a colour, sometimes it can be a texture. I collect stuff, so I have a lot of stuff for years that I don't necessarily use until the time's right. My last presentation, we showed at the Tate Tanks, and it was such an incredible space. The presence in that room was like, it was almost holy. And then you sit on the catwalk with all the makeup and the full styling and everything. It's kind of its own thing. It's almost like flies to the nest. That's it gone full as it kind of goes into the world. It's like someone reading a diary in that respect.
Come on. And we're going to go and look at the Barbies of Matty. Who drew that? Matty. I remember first seeing Matty modelling for Medium Kirchhoff, and then I saw his work at St Martin's and I was blown away, and I thought, oh my God, he's actually an artist. I don't know, it brought back so many good memories of people I'd seen coming through London, like Judy Blame and Julie Verhoeven and other heroes of mine. It really felt of that ilk. The creatives are still the creatives, the energy's still there, London's still buzzing. I think there's talent here, you just have to find it and look after it and champion it.
I think that you can definitely still like do your creative work and have a connection with like London Fashion Week or wherever you want to show work, but not necessarily be centred there. My grandmother owned the shop in Rottingdean, which sold a range of things, so jewellery, cards and knickknacks and various other things. She was able to see sort of magic in everything. So this is the wishing stone of Rottingdean. Supposedly, if you touch its nose and then you spin round clockwise 3 times, your wish will be granted.
I think you spanned 4 times.
Did I? Oh well.
I think it comes naturally that we focus on objects more than, say, mood. To me, it feels like a puzzle of finding things which go together somehow and then putting them together. We've made things with, say, like real flowers in them. We've worked to make them like hand washable. I think we don't tend to think about an idea of a muse, but we do think about the technical aspects of like wearing something. That I think we see that as like the challenge.
Yeah, I love red. Yeah, it's the colour of passion. I think it represents me really well because it can be cute, it can be dark, it can be sexy. It's like really out there. I used to be super upset about my generation because I was like, we don't have a specific personality or specific style, but I think that's what makes it really good. It's like mixed. You can take elements from everything. We're like mixed media, you know?
Objects have a kind of spirit that can be enhanced when you recycle them. They sort of pick up.
Well, they have a history.
Yeah, history and ideas. And if you're more spiritually inclined, maybe there is some kind of like metaphysical element that they pick up too. The whole thing of like stately homes and inheriting things all down the generations. But I think that can happen with like an old sock as well.
And I think it's always hard at the time to understand what you're doing. I think if I look back in 10 years, it'll be crystal clear.
I think the most important thing is to be brave. I think loads of people are missing that. We were still working in an environment where we have to fit in a certain way, but I think people should really celebrate their differences, and if they feel different about something, I think that's probably why they're special in their own way. I think people have to be more brave about those things.